You don't roast me for being
audio.
late.
Do we have audio, guys? Do we have audio? Can it be heard? Are we going to come back in a few hours' time and have no recollection?
I smile if you're in love with Chris. What's the opposite of a smile?
He's straight through you, transparent.
The frick? Everyone, please check to make sure we have audio, because sometime like this, we started the podcast and we didn't have audio. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Today is going to be the greatest debate of all time. I'm your host, and I have here with me Chris. We're going to be debating if it's harder to lose weight or gain weight. If you have any stance and you want to make any of your opinions being heard, feel free to raise your hand. You're welcome to come onto the panel. This is going to be a respectful debate, so please, no fat shaming. You can't say stuff like, Chris is overweight, he's never lost, so he doesn't, anyway. You can't say things like that. You have to be respectful. You can't just say that, or AO, you've never been overweight, so whatever. Anyway, so, just kidding. Cool. So the first stance that I'll probably kick things off and get started. I personally think it's harder to lose weight. For some of you might think this is a shock because I'm always one of those people who's like a fake hard gainer. I think losing weight is really hard because this goes back to our conversation about obesity and how people got into gaining that weight in the first place. Now, most people might argue the process of losing weight is very easy. Just put yourself in a caloric deficit. I do think that a lot of psychological aspects, and especially addiction, contributes to why people might struggle to lose weight, especially if you're doing it for the first time. Over to you, Chris.
Okay. I suppose I'll rebut that. I'll have the opposite stance. So I think losing weight or gaining weight. Losing weight is easy. If you want to gain weight, you have to actively eat a calorie surplus. You have to cook extra food. You have to go buy food. You have to have more money. You have to go maybe build some muscle. You have to be lifting, training hard on a decent program. Maybe that involves going to a gym. Maybe it involves, working out at home in calisthenics, working out a good routine. Whereas to lose weight, you have to not do things. To lose weight, you have to not eat food. And what's easier than not doing something? Easy discussion. End debate there. To lose weight, you have to not do things. To gain weight, you have to do things. It's so much easier to not do things than to do things. I think it's really clear cut, easy. We can't hear you. You're double muted.
That's a very good point, Chris. Dante, do you have any stance, or does anybody have any opinion that they want to share? Feel free to share. Mello, I can see your hands raised. I'll invite you to the speaker.
Yeah.
Over to you, Dante.
Sorry about that. Am I free? Someone else's turn.
Wait, can I speak?
So we'll do Dante. Okay, Mello, go ahead.
Okay, so wait, who's first?
Because you're the most special member in the community, you go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think gaining weight is much harder. I've actually went through gaining and losing weight, and I find that losing weight is much easier because just like how he said, it's easier to do nothing than to do something. It's so hard trying to gain weight and to eat. It's always this constant battle, you can't eat. It's so hard trying to eat. So I'm a little nervous though. This is the first time I talk on Discord. But
no problem. Carry on.
When I was trying to lose weight, it was much easier to just not eat at all than to eat, So yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely valid. Absolutely valid. And do you train? Do you lift weights? So what are your goals in general of interest?
Yeah, it was really hard because I was really underweight as well. So trying to gain weight and gain to where I am right now was super hard. It was a constant battle, really. It was really mentally challenging for me to try and eat. But then I got over it. I can eat now normally. But I think it's easier to not eat, yeah. So losing weight is much easier than gaining weight, is what I think. Sorry, I talked too much.
Not at all. And thanks, Mel. That's great. And just to clarify, you're coming from someone who didn't eat very much, you're quite underweight, and you found it hard to gain weight from there. So you think it's easier to lose weight because you simply less effort for you to do that.
That's exactly what I meant.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Really good point. Thank you, Mallow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Dante, what's your stance?
Haha. All right. Am I being heard? Is this on? Beautiful. So last time I took a stance that was more favorable to myself and my experience, and I think I'm going to kind of do a flip-flop on that this time. I do think that losing weight is going to be more difficult for the vast majority of people. I tend to lose it quickly because of my tumor, and I think I'm an outlier because of that. When you lose weight, you are essentially going to war with your own biology. Your body is designed to resist weight loss naturally. The moment that you create that caloric deficit, you get hunger hormone spikes, you get fullness hormone drops, your energy levels fall, and your metabolism slows to kind of conserve that fuel. Your brain starts to prioritize food. I mean, your willpower gets taxed and your environment is stacked against you with cheap, hyper palatable calories everywhere. It's like literally everywhere. It is really hard to avoid that. And you're not just making a lifestyle change, you're overriding what feels like millions of years of survival programming. Gaining weight, even like quality weight, it's challenging, but it works with your physiology and not really against it. Extra calories are readily stored and the appetite is kind of rewarded. The body doesn't really activate emergency systems like it does to stop you from growing, like it does with losing weight. Losing weight demands constant restraint. It's tricky all the time when you're in a cut, like you're hungry all the time. Consistency under that hunger and the psychological control in a world built for overconsumption is a demanding thing to do. So I'm going to say that losing weight is going to be harder for the vast majority of people.
Okay, that's a really good point. Hey, whatever Dante says is correct. So, and I said that as well. So, GG, Chris, I win. But overall, I do think that's a really good stance, and I do like how you went into the science. Chris, do you have any counter to that? Before we go on to anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I like to hear what Dumbledore has to say, and Mimi as well. But I will say, I won't counter him entirely because I want to be rude. I think a lot of respect for Dante. But I'll say his background is he's a very strong jack dude. He's big, strong, muscular. What position he's in, he's worked very hard to build the muscle, and then losing fat maybe is a lot harder because he's got more demands from his muscles. He's used to training very hard. He's going to have more of a hunger drive than other people. He's going to book more hunger. I know he works as a paramedic. He's incredibly active. For him, I think losing weight is probably, it could be difficult for him, absolutely. But I think it's a different mentality. Maybe if he came from being very underweight, maybe he have a different perspective on it. I think it's interesting where he come from that. But I'd love to hear from Dumbledore and Mimi if possible.
I can go first if you want me to, if Mimi doesn't want to go first. Well, first of all, I want to say I started off being, when I was a child, I was very, very active. I played, I think, like 3 sports, and I went to those for like 4 times a week-ish. And I think that also gave me a very big appetite. So I've always eaten a lot and done that with ease. I think that also gave me a very big appetite. So I got overweight, and then I cut, and then I was underweight for a year, and then I bulked. So I've done pretty much everything. I personally think losing weight is harder. So as Dante said, all the science things, I think that plays a very big part and bigger than some people give it credit for. But I also think that the mentality part is a very hard thing. Of course, with like the addiction thing to food, for example, also being used to eat a lot. So as I got a little bit older, I had a little bit less time. I went to the gym less, and I gained weight quicker, but my appetite stayed the same. So those things, that's obviously due to caloric surplus, but yeah. And then I also think that losing weight can be a very hard thing mentally, trying to not eat. But I do think that gaining weight is harder. Oh my God. I think that losing weight is harder because the food is always there in your mind. Well, for me. So I think that that's a very big part. And then also your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, increases when you cut. and your what's the name, leptin, I think, decreases, which is your being satisfied. So I think that plays a very big part, and I personally experienced that pretty heavily. So, for example, I'm cutting right now. I want to cut about 5 kg, and then maybe a little bit less, so a little bit more, so I can be in the next weight class. But I feel, especially with being so aware of what I eat, I'm also always craving. I'm always thinking about food, and I think that's harder when you're cutting. So that's my stance.
That's really good. And I really do appreciate how you went into the science aspect of it as well. Cool. Before we have any counters, Mimi, did you have anything you wanted to say? And thanks for joining before Chris.
Yeah, give me just a second because I did mention before I joined here that I am multitasking and it's not working.
Double booked.
But yeah, I will. Okay, I will not give, bro. I can't multitask. This is really bad. I've also gone through the two process of. Oh, okay. Yeah, and so I really know what it's like to struggle to lose weight and also struggle to gain weight. But then I'm also an athlete, so it's really easy for me to talk about this. As I mentioned earlier in chat, we have competitions and we have weight classes. So, of course, like I mentioned, I have to go to 46 kg, and I'm currently 51. And the competition is on the 5th of February. So, like I mentioned, it's a process of like losing weight really fast and then gaining weight, and then so yeah, I've gone through both, and I will explain both from my perspective of what I've been through. So for me, from the both, I feel like it's harder for me to lose weight. I have struggled to lose weight so bad. The only time I actually gained weight was after my ED, which I gained weight really, really fast after my eating disorder. But before that, like I felt like it was really hard. Like, of course, when I got my eating disorder, I lost a lot of weight. But then after it was gone, of course, I gained that weight back. But that was the only time it was really hard for me to gain weight, of course, because I was struggling to eat. But apart from that, I feel like it's really easy for me to gain weight right now. I don't know if it's because I have to be a certain weight, so then my body's just like, no, I'm not gonna give you that weight. But for me, it's like really hard to lose weight. I don't know. I have done diets. I work out like literally almost every day except 2 days of the week, and I'm still the same weight. Sometimes like I even change my whole diet. Like I don't eat sugar. I don't eat anything, and I still am 50 kg. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? You know, like I had a time where I did like a diet and a workout, a specific workout that my master did for me that would supposedly help me lose weight, and it didn't do anything for me. And I was like, okay, is it my body that's like just not adapting to the diet, to anything? Because of course it's not something that happens within like a day or two. It takes months, and that's harsh. But then after a few months, when you don't see any progress of you losing or gaining weight, you're sitting there, you're like, is this really gonna work? Should I keep going? And that's what happened to me every time I've tried to at least lose weight. It's just never worked. I don't know why. So I will be sticking. I did tell Chris that I was more on the middle of both, but I'm gonna go a little bit more to experience of being harder for me to lose weight rather than gain weight. So yeah, that's my stance on it. Um, I don't know if you have anything to say, Chris, against me. You hater.
Always something against you. No, not directly. I think that's a really good experience, and it's definitely coming from your position. We can maybe talk in future about should, I said this guys in chat, should we actually have a debate in future, sports should have weight classes, which could be interesting because I think weight classes can be quite problematic for a lot of people, and it can also lead to a lot of disordered eating and training ideas and stuff. Also, people getting stuck on numbers, things like I'm 50 kilos. It's a round number, it's convenient. Maybe if you change to pounds or stones, different measurement, you see it differently. But 50 kilos is still very small. And even if I know you said you're about, 150 centimeters, something like that. So you're not very tall, but it's still very lightweight. And as we know, lighter isn't always better. But we could digressing. But thank you for your contribution, Mimi. Thank you for fitting us in, even though you are double booked. I'd love to hear someone else's contribution for this. Who has been waiting? I know Thomas is here just to chill. Have we had Candy up yet? We had Misaki.
No, we need Candy. Candy, what's your stance? Don't worry, you're not getting banned
Bring
this time.
Candy out. Bring Candy out.
All right, hold on.
Oh, yeah,
I gotta do a
Toxic.
little bit.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right, let me. Hold on. It's not supposed to run in the building.
And
I
for
don't wanna-
anybody else
I'm
who
in the middle
wants...
of doing a restroom.
No worries, no rush, mate.
wait.
Anyone else who wants to get involved, feel free to raise your hand. You're all welcome to give your
I mean,
stance. Okay.
I can talk. I just gotta get. Hello, David.
No rush, no rush. We can
You guys hear
pivot
me?
to. We can pivot to digits. Digits. Do you mind if we just pivot to Toxic first, and we'll come back to you, and then if Candy, if you're available, we'll
Yeah.
Yeah, I
come
don't
back to
mind.
you. Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
sure,
you.
sure. No problem.
All right, so hoping everybody hear me. So I think an important part of this is that we have to differentiate between individuals and groups, because we know that individual weight is influenced by a wide range of factors, specifically genetics and upbringing and culture. And that food in general is very tightly knit to feelings. So everyone who's ever gone hungry to the store will know that suddenly you walk out of the store with like 10 times more food than you were originally planning to buy. You have people who get heartbroken and then they binge, or they do alcohol, or they compensate by numbing their feeling with food. So food and how we feel is complex. So while you might have certain people who, for various reasons, are underweight or are used to being smaller and used to eating less, for them, of course, changing how they're eating to gain weight will be a lot harder than staying underweight. Just as a person who has maybe got different cards, who is naturally on the bigger side, will not struggle being bigger, but they will struggle quite hard to lose weight. That's the individual. Both of these are hard, but a person who is like me, for example, I'm 105 kilos. I do not struggle eating, right? Evidently, whereas I would struggle mightily trying to get down to 50 kilos. That would not be very fun for me. Whereas Mimi being 50 kilos would probably struggle immensely trying to get closer to my size. But then we have to look at the group. If we how different groups react. And I think that if you take a group of people and you look at the health, then I'm talking about the health outcomes. What is the consequences of changing weight? And if we gain weight, we increase the risk of certain diseases like heart disease and diabetes and high blood pressure and that kind of thing. But all of these diseases are long-term diseases. Like, you don't suddenly wake up with diabetes. That's going to take you 30 years of hard work to get there. Whereas if we take a 50 people and we lose weight, we starve them, then the negative effects on their health is going to show up much quicker and in much more severe ways. So the body, when you're losing weight, essentially does not know why exactly you're losing weight, right? Are you losing weight because it's about to be summer and you want to look extra snatched in your bikini? Or are you losing weight because the Germans invaded again and you're suddenly put in a prison camp and now there's no food, right? The body has no idea. So it only knows that if you lose enough weight, you die really badly, really quickly. It does not take that it's much easier to get sick from starving than it is to get sick from being too big. I would say that and to borrow on what Dante said, that losing weight, at least too much, has worse results for the body faster. And we are also living, we're also living in a society, most of us at least, that makes it really easy to overeat and to always have very tasty food available to us. So for most people, losing weight usually is a lot harder. That's on the group level. Of course, there will be individual differences, but based on how society is evolving, I would say that most people, on average, are getting heavier and have been getting heavier for the last 50 years. So by definition, it's been easier for us to gain weight the last 50 years than it has been to lose it. And so we see that losing weight has more consequences that are felt more acutely, whereas gaining weight is easier on average for most people, in my opinion.
Cool. Cool. That's a really good point. And I do appreciate where people are talking about the dependencies and how it's relative between different people, which wants me to segue to the next sub question in the debate. What's harder, gaining muscle or losing fat? And I think as a nutritionist, Toxic, it's really good to start off with you. But before we go on to that, I do know Digit or Digi, that dude, did want to say something. So go ahead, mate. Feel free to say what you want to say, and then you can chip into the second part of the debate.
So since I want to speak objectively here, since I obviously haven't experienced both sides. I'm personally somebody who's trying to gain weight, but I feel like the hard part about losing weight is like your mindset, at least in my opinion. Like most people have problems, sticking to the diet, and some people tend to have cheat meals. I feel like that's the hardest part about losing weight. But if you're trying to gain weight, I feel like your problem is it's gonna be harder for you to gain weight because you're not used to eating as much. So you're most likely gonna have more troubles. Me personally, since I've been trying to gain weight, I've been having like more troubles. Sometimes if I were to get full, I'd feel sicker. But if you're losing weight, it'd probably just be harder for you to stick to the diet. At least that's what I think. I just want to chip in.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I do agree. Especially people who get into bodybuilding. Sometimes some people are trying to lose weight and they're not strictly following the caloric deficit. But yeah, that's a really good point. But now we're going to segue to the second part of the debate. Thank you very much, everyone who's chipping in. Anyone else, if you have anything you want to say, you want it to be read out loud, feel free to type in the text section. But yeah, what's harder, gaining muscle? You could debate that it's easier for me than Chris, right? Just kidding. Or losing fat.
Why you made that debate? Not sure.
So we'll start off with you, Toxic, as our designated nutritionist. Go ahead.
Well, could you restate the question again? Gaining muscle or what? What was the question?
Double muted. Is it easier to gain muscle or to lose fat? Is the question.
Yeah, thank you. This double mute stuff is pissing me off. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
That's a good one. I mean, this isn't my main specialty, but I would have to say that I would say gaining, or do I say that? I would perhaps
decide.
I think gaining muscle is harder, simply because it requires consistent, measured, direct work over time, and because I mean, for the average person, muscle, not strength gain, but muscle gain is going to be a very slow process. And I don't know if someone could probably correct me on this. I think there's some studies out there that say that you build like, I don't know, 10 grams or 5 grams or, a very small number of actual muscle mass per day or per week. Like, the amount of actual muscle you build per time is so small that unless you yourself are really tiny, then there is no way that you're actually going to be able to measure or to document the changes. So you have to keep on working and believing in the system and believing, like we said, 12 grams a day. That's I think that's half a Snickers bar or something. It's absolutely nothing. So in order to get to the point where you can actually see that your muscles have gotten bigger, it takes months and months of work. Whereas if you lose weight, of course, that's not going to be the same as losing fat, but losing weight, you can track the scales and see that in a month or at least 2 weeks, depending, of course, on how quickly you go. But then I think, of course, there's the question of how do you know that you actually lost fat versus lost muscle or everything. But yeah, I think the time aspect of it makes a difference in that you have the gaining muscle or noticing that you've gained muscle takes a while. Especially since weight can be manipulated by, glycogen stores and water weight and hormone changes and stuff. This isn't really my main area, so I'm open to being one.
No worries. It was a bit of a setup question as well on my part, but I do appreciate the answer. Over to you, Chris. You're being a bit smug. You need to respect Toxic as he is trying to give an intellectual.
More respect for Toxic than anyone on this panel. Well, most people on this panel. Interpret that how you will. So I feel like I want to argue against him, just make it more entertaining. So losing fat is harder than building muscle. We can say because of society and things, it's harder to lose fat. We can say easy foods around you all the time. I can say I don't believe that. Unfortunately, I can't really sincerely argue that one. Building muscle is a process. Has been over time. You can build muscle for work. You can train hard. The most important factor, obviously, is mechanical tension. And you feel that, recover from it. You do a process. You repeat, lather, rinse, repeat for months on end, years on end. Hopefully, gain a little bit of lean tissue. And it takes time to build muscle. It takes a very, very long time to build actual muscle. Whereas losing fat, you can go on irresponsibly high cut and you can drop fat in the matter of weeks, really. You can have dramatic fat loss in weeks. You cannot have dramatic muscle gain within weeks. So by that metric, I would say building muscle is harder. I would say this is people who are trying to build muscle. If you are trying to lose weight, it depends where you come from. If you're someone who is very overweight and very sedentary, it may be very, very difficult for you to drop any fat at all. Maybe anytime you move and exercise, you create a stronger hunger drive, your hormones go crazy, and you eat more and more food. It's going to be harder for you. You can build muscle easier because there's more of you. Anytime you move, if you're a very heavy overweight individual, you're basically doing weighted walking every time. Anytime you do body weights, it's much more weighted. If I weigh, 170 pounds, if I'm doing press ups, it's probably easier for me than AO, who weighs about 350. Much more weight to move. It's going to be much harder. It's going to be much more of a working out of that. So it's much more difficult in that sense to get the mechanical tension on the muscles because you're too heavy overweight to actually get the proper work on the muscles you want to. So I would say in some cases, losing weight is harder. Losing fat is harder because you can drop water weight quickly. But if you go on a too harsh a cut, if you try to do too irresponsible a diet, you make your hormones messed up. You're going to have more hunger cravings. You're going to have drop water. You're going to think you could have lost weight. You're going to gain weight the next day. Your mind's going to be off because you think the scales are playing tricks on you. Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? Should I eat more? Should I eat less? You end up binging. So in some ways, yeah, I do think losing fat is harder. If you have a good plan to build muscle, it's quite straightforward. You go in, you do the work, and then outside of that, the rest of your day is free. You don't have to do anything. You've done the work. You've created that mechanical tension. You've worked the muscles hard. You've given that growth stimulus. Whereas losing fat is around the clock. It's every meal you have to think about what you're doing. Every meal you have to think, am I going over my maintenance? Am I hitting the deficit I need? And did I count right? Did I weigh this food right? Is this food I bought from a restaurant or from a supermarket? Is it wrong? Right information is wrong information. It takes much more tracking. Whereas generally building muscle, I think you can say, right, I know at a mechanical tension, I can do that in my hit my muscles twice a week. I'm going to have a big calorie surplus just to make sure I get enough energy in to build the muscle, and that's quite easy. Overeating is easy. Hitting the gym, hitting the gym's the easy part. No one in here really struggles wanting to go to the gym. Everyone loves going to the gym. Everyone hates the diet aspect. So in that case, yeah, I'll disagree. I'd say it's easier to drop fat. It's harder to drop fat than it is to build muscle. Losing fat is a round the clock process. Every meal is considered, everything you eat every single minute around the clock is much harder than going to the gym and training and going growing out a couple times a week. Easy.
I don't know if Toxic is gonna answer, but I also wanted to put my input, of course, with nothing like science facts or anything like that, also just from experience. I also agree with Chris. I feel like losing fat is way harder than gaining muscle. I mean, that's what at least happened with me. I mean, also depends where you're losing fat and where you're gaining muscle. At least for me, it's like that because, of course, there are parts of my body that it's easy for me to lose the fat, but then there's also parts of my body where it's harder to gain the muscle. So it also depends on where we're talking about. But I'm gonna speak a little bit in general. Like I said, I agree with Chris. For me, it's like maintaining the muscle. I feel like that's also important, not just gaining it, but being able to maintain it. I don't know if you understand what I mean, because I feel like yes, it does take time to gain the muscle, but it's really easy to also lose it. Let's not forget it, because I gained muscle because I used to go to practice like literally every day, and then in like a month, I lost all the muscle that I grew in like few months. So I think it's also not just about growing the muscle, but also being able to maintain it. But like Chris said, um, losing fat is like a 24/7 process. Like you're always thinking about it. It's not a going to the gym, doing your workout for 1 hour, and you're done because that's all you have to do. You can't grow your muscle any other way. While losing fat is going to the gym, diet, what you put in your mouth, your mindset. It's about everything, like literally everything. 24/7, you're gonna be thinking about what am I gonna eat for dinner? What am I gonna have as a snack? Oh, I can't have that because I'm gonna gain weight. So yeah, it's about that. Of course, I do struggle to gain muscle, but there's areas in the body that are easier. Like I mentioned in the first thing, there's areas in your body that it also depends on the person, of course, that are easier to gain muscle than other parts, as well as the fat. I feel like, for example, for me, my stomach is a hard place to lose fat. At least that's for me. But then I feel like, for example, my arms, it's really easy for me to lose fat on my arms. And that's just for me. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen like that to everyone. It's just for me. But then, for example, gaining muscle, I feel like in my legs, like my calves and stuff like that, it's really easy for me to gain muscles there because I do taekwondo. So it's really easy for me. I don't have to do much to gain muscle there. But then, for example, my arms, it's really hard for me to gain muscle there. I don't even have muscle there. I'm a skinny like stick, and I hate arms. I'm not gonna lie, I hate arms, and I don't do arms. But at the end of the day, it's really hard for me to gain muscle because I used to do arms, even though I hated them, and I never grew a single muscle. Every day I would go into the mirror, flex, and I'd be like, ugh, where's the muscle? Like, can you come, please?
It
So
does
yeah.
every day. Don't worry.
I have an opinion. Can I go?
Yeah, Mel. Yeah, of course, Mel. Off you go.
Well, I'm not. Wait, who's gonna go?
If you go Mellow now, then we'll get Dante in afterwards, I think. So yeah, go ahead, Mel. You got the stage.
Me? Okay. So I'm not an expert, and I've been going to the gym for a year now. But I think losing fat is much easier than gaining muscle, but maintaining the fat loss is the hard part. But when I started with nothing, like absolutely no muscle, so gaining muscle was much harder because you have to think about recovery, you have to sleep well, you have to eat well, you have to eat more, you have to train, progressive overload. So it's just so much work you have to do to gain muscle. Whereas losing fat, you just have to eat less and still go to the gym, do your workouts and all of that. But all you have to do is just eat less, which means you will lose fat. But like I said, maintaining the fat loss is really hard. So it's kind of like controversial. So that's why people sometimes think that losing fat is easier, harder because of the maintenance part. But losing fat is easier than gaining muscle. There is not much work to do except eat less. Even if you mess up a little bit of your sleep, it'll be fine. You could still lose fat. But gaining muscle, you have to do much more. Like it's a different path than losing fat. That's what I think. But I may be wrong. I'm not an expert or
Yeah, hey, there's no
anything.
wrong. There's no wrong. There's no wrong. Totally valid. Absolutely valid. Thank you. No, you're not wrong at all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I think this is like also from the other debate that I said, opinions don't have a right or wrong, at least in my view, because it's your opinion. Like it's not right or wrong because it's your opinion. It's not based on facts. Of course, if it was based on facts, then it would be wrong or right. But if it's something you think and you think is right, then it's right for you, and doesn't matter what other people think because it's your opinion. So
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Nice.
All
RJ,
right.
the
Yeah.
floor, or Tom, or
I'll,
Thomas is here, or
sorry,
Dante,
Dopamine.
you
I'm
want
going
to
to steal
go?
this one. Yeah, second.
Go for it, buddy.
Um, hey, really quickly. Sorry to talk over you. Everyone's opinion here is completely valid, and I am proud of all the little introverts that are speaking up here. It is scary to do. I totally get that. Thank you for coming on the podcast and talking. It is great to hear from you. My last thing that I'm going to bring to this podcast before I have to flee to work today, my last dance with it, is that when people usually ask what's harder with gaining muscle or losing fat, I think the instinct is to say fat loss because it's uncomfortable and often really emotionally charged. Physiologically speaking, though, I think that gaining muscle is almost always going to be the harder process, kind of dependent. Losing fat requires creating a calorie deficit, which the body responds to relatively quickly. Gaining muscle, on the other hand, is a slow and very resource intensive process that the body is naturally kind of cautious about. Muscle is a metabolically expensive tissue. I mean, it doesn't really build it unless the conditions are consistently right. Fat loss, however, can happen on a wide spectrum. A person can lose fat through dietary changes alone, even without exercise, like we said, a caloric deficit, because the body has a pretty large energy reserve stored as fat. When the calories drop, the body adapts by pulling them from those resources. But muscle gain doesn't really work that way. It requires a specific stimulus, usually progressive resistance training, combined with getting enough protein and sufficient calories, a good quality of sleep, recovery, and supportive hormones. Even when everything is optimized, muscle growth happens pretty freaking slowly. For most people, and I mean, especially for women or trained individuals, we're talking about like fractions of a pound per month sometimes. And sometimes it's not even a dramatic transformation. I think another key difference, though, is how the body responds hormonally. In a calorie deficit, the body might resist increasing hunger or fatigue, but fat loss can still occur. And for muscle gain, the body needs to be in a state where it feels safe enough to grow. Like chronic stress, poor sleep, all things that I am prone to, unfortunately. Under eating, inflammation, history of bad dieting, whatever, can shut that process down almost entirely or to like a super slow crawl. And that's why someone who can train hard for months and they can see a minimal gain, even if they're doing everything else right. And I mean, there's also the time and the precision factor. Like fat loss can occur with imperfect execution. You don't need to have your perfect macros or your perfect workouts or perfect recovery for fat loss to happen. Muscle gain demands consistency, across many different variables over a long period of time. And if you're missing one piece of those, like the training intensity, the protein intake, sleep, or what have you, progress is going to slow dramatically, or it just might stop altogether for you and we hit those plateaus. And that makes muscle gain not just physically harder, but mentally harder as well, because it requires the patience and long-term commitment without the immediate feedback, which is why we might see those 2-week warriors at the gym at the beginning of the year. They don't get that immediate gratification, and it just kind of, they're like, all right, I'm done with this. It's not working for me. I do think, though, that context matters. For like someone with a history of restrictive dieting or hormonal disruption like myself or metabolic adaptation, fat loss can feel very, very difficult. Genetics, environment, trauma, medical conditions, lifestyle, yada, yada, can all influence which process feels harder for an individual. But in general, from a biological standpoint, losing fat is about removing stored energy, while gaining muscle is about convincing your body to build an entirely new tissue. And the body is far more resistant to building than it is to breaking it down. So, in my opinion, I think the real answer is that one is not universally harder than the other, but that muscle gain is inherently the slower, more demanding process, and that fat loss can happen under many different conditions. Muscle gain only happens when conditions align appropriately. And I think that that's why gaining muscle is going to be harder in the long term for most people in the fitness game.
Hi. So I agree with that it kind of depends on the person, but from my point of view, as a female 5'4", 120-pound girl, that fat loss is so much harder because for men, they naturally have a higher basic metabolic rate and a higher total daily energy expenditure. So I feel like you guys only have to eat 2,000 calories, where I have to eat 1,200 or less in order to lose half a pound a week. So it's really unfair, but that's kind of how it is. So even though muscle, it takes a lot more variables in order to grow, because you need that progressive overload, you need that protein, you need that lean bulk, you need that extra energy to grow muscle. It takes more to grow muscle. But in my opinion, losing fat is harder because even though it just comes down to a calorie deficit at the end of the day, it's much harder to get there depending on your genetics and who you are. So that's my point of view.
Yeah, excellent point, Noel. Thank you. And definitely valid and good to have that perspective from different training background, different factors going on to it. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we have Dopamine coming into. Do you hear Dopamine, you there? And you're going to chat before Dante and we can take a break.
Yeah. I just
How you doing,
wanted
man?
to touch in. Good. How are you, man?
Yeah, doing
We
well,
had a
thank
lot
you.
of. Yeah,
I was
heard
wondering,
you were.
did Dante have a counter to that before he left, or no?
Dante, what did
Is
he
he
say?
gone?
What did Dante
I
say?
apologize. I do not have time for a counter, and I thought that was beautifully spoken as it is. So I'm just going to leave that there and say, good job, guys.
I love you, dude. See you, Dante. Take care.
I think Dante
Hi,
hit
Dante.
the ball on the point. Hit the. Fuck. You messed me
No,
up,
go ahead.
Candy. No, but
Yeah, what Dante said was really good. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, Dante, he hit the. I mean, he made the ball in the bucket, right? Like,
Nail on the head.
yeah,
Very
nail
well
on the head.
spoken.
That's what I was
Very well
looking
spoken.
for.
Yeah.
But like, if it was easier to gain muscle, everyone would look like the owner, bro. Like, if it was so easy to gain muscle, we'd have people
You're
benching
giving him too much.
225.
Yeah, you shouldn't give him too much credit.
No,
Yeah.
wait, mods, ban him.
Carry on,
His
man.
ego is over the top right now.
Are you gonna take that under?
Excuse-moi. This is a civil debate, and we
It's
have
not excuse. It's
we,
excuse.
we have a highly intelligent individual speaking at the moment. So, good sir, please continue with what you're saying. Go ahead.
Yes, yes. So as I was saying, it's way easier to lose fat, especially if you just stop eating sugar and stop drinking a 12-pack of Dr. Pepper, eating your fried fish, sitting on your butt watching, I don't know, what's that new K-pop TV show? What I'm trying to say is just get up, do some cardio, like drink water, cut out sugar, bro. It's easy to lose fat.
I do have a counter to that actually, because when
Okay.
I started losing weight, I was 13, and I was in the gym 3 times a week, and I was eating relatively healthy, just over what I should be eating to maintain my weight. So I think that losing weight is not only about doing those things as you said, but also eating less than what you're comfortable with. So eating less than what you're comfortable with, I think that's really hard, mentally and physically, both on both sides. And I think that especially with what you said about if gaining muscle was easy, then everyone would look like Ao, I think you said.
Yeah.
There can be a lot of muscle in someone that has also a lot of fat. So they won't look the same. They maybe be the same. They'll maybe, if they're shorter, they'll maybe have the same weight, or maybe they'll lift the same, but they won't look the same because they have more fat. So I think that just by gaining muscle, you won't necessarily look ripped. For example, I gained a lot of weight and also a lot of muscle since the summer, but I also gained some fat because I needed some fat because my body was in like yeah, my body, I was underweight and I wasn't okay. So I think now I don't look ripped, no, but I have gained a lot of muscle and a lot of strength. So I think that there's a little bit of an what's the word? There's more to it than just a simple get up and do some cardio. That's what I was saying. Yeah, that was my stance.
I agree with you, Pookie.
Yeah.
Agreeing. It's so fun when you
Girls
agree.
unite.
There's always things to agree with her.
Real.
I feel like everyone has
I-
a good point.
I
Which is no
wanted
fun.
to put like kind of an example. I was thinking about this like when I first read the debate. I was actually thinking about this one person that's in my school that's actually my classmate. She is overweight. She does a sport. I don't know which sport because I don't really talk to her that much. She does not eat at school. Like she doesn't eat lunch or anything. She is shy to eat in front of people, so she decides not to eat. But she's overweight. So, in you guys' opinion, like she doesn't, at least from what I see, doesn't have muscle. But of course, I don't see under her clothes, of course. So this was the example that I wanted to put out there first, but I kind of forgot because I'm multitasking. So like in Chris's opinions and everyone else's opinion, like, do you think for a person like this, like that doesn't eat, that does sports, what could be in their mind? I know you want to answer about like this kind of debate, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I will just quickly say that just because someone doesn't eat when you see them doesn't mean they don't eat all the time, which can be a serious, indicator of disordered eating. Some people will go all day out of shame and not eat, and then binge and eat outside of that. Maybe this person's eating lots of food before school, maybe they're eating lots after school, maybe they're drinking things you don't see. Like, there's a much bigger picture. So this is also a reason why fasting isn't necessarily the best way to lose weight, because it leads to things like this. So that's what I would think. I think, yes, hormones play a factor on it. Yes, if there's a real problem that can affect weight loss and weight gain. But in most scenarios, it does come down to, thermodynamics. So I think this person's probably quite unhealthy. They sound quite unhappy. So it's quite sad to hear it. Yeah, I think it's going to be extra eating when people can't see or trying to hide it, which leads to more shame. And it's a bit of a cycle for that, unfortunately. So it sounds like she's got a lot on her plate. So yeah,
And
it's
I want
sad
to
to hear.
add something
But think
to
of it
that.
like as if she doesn't eat. Like that was my example. Like even like you're thinking of it outside of the box. Like
So
just
what's the
think about
box?
it
Sorry, I'll say in
as
the
if she
box.
does.
What's the box?
Think of it as if she doesn't eat at all. Like she eats small things after school or before school. Just think of it as someone who doesn't eat the main meals like dinner, lunch, breakfast, just small snacks throughout the day. Think of it in that way. Sorry, I wasn't specific.
No, it's fine. So someone who just generally eats very little food, is that what we're saying? Doesn't eat main meals, just has small snacks, doesn't eat much overall. So which would be in theory be a deficit, is what we're saying, is it?
You win these terms. I don't fucking know.
In theory, she's eating less food than she needs to stay the same weight. She should be losing weight on the food
Yes.
she's eating.
Basically, what she explained to me is that she doesn't eat much, yet she doesn't lose weight at all. She is still
Okay.
overweight. She can't lose weight. This is what I was told, okay? I was just
Okay.
giving that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
example
Yeah. For
because
sure.
it's
For
great
sure.
for this.
I have an opinion about that.
Oh, yeah. Mother, go ahead.
Sometimes when
I
you
will.
eat snacks, like you eat little things, it doesn't mean that you're not eating a lot of calories. It could be little things, but it could be a
Yep.
lot of calories. That's why she's not losing weight.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah,
If you don't eat
but yeah,
much, but you
that's
just eat handfuls of peanuts, then yeah, it's going to be high calorie
exactly
density and
that's
it's going to be
good.
little food.
Yeah, if you're not eating much, but you're still not losing weight, it's composed of different things. You're like you might lose a little bit of weight at the start, but then you'll get it back up. You gotta include other things such as working out, or that's the main part of it. Is you got to work out and actually eat something good. For example, a deficit in your calories, composed of just healthier food in general.
Yeah, I mean, we can also talk like thermic effect of food. We can talk about what foods are more filling. We can say protein is like less likely to be stored as fat. We can say having a high fat diet is more likely to be stored as fat if there's a surplus. We can say that carbs are good for energy and things like that. But it sounds like it's an issue of, well, it might. I don't want to make assumptions about this person because it sounds like having a really hard time. But often when I see your clients, at least, if someone tells me they're not eating much food but they're not losing weight, it normally becomes a factor of counting or avoiding counting and just having some sheer accountability for it. So someone may be saying, right, I don't eat much. I just have like I had a small handful of peanuts just for a snack. And it turns out their handful is about 3 sizes bigger than a normal handful would be. It could say, oh, I only have some peanut butter on toast, just a little bit. And it turns out they're really slathering it on thick and they're having an extra 500 calories than they think per slice of toast. So it comes down to those kind of factors because, like I said, for most people, the laws of thermodynamics, calorie deficits, calorie maintenance, they're going to be the most important factor. So if that's not the case, then they should be going to a medical professional and seeing what else is going on. They could have some sort of tumor issue. They could have some sort of thyroid issue. There
Thyroid?
could be something else going on. Sorry, Noel. Yeah, go jump in.
Oh, sorry. No, I just said thyroid. Yes, I agree with exactly a handful of nuts or peanuts or whatever. And I was also going to add to that saying salad or like fast food salads. Oh, I can't, I don't have time to make any food. So I just go out and get a salad. It's healthy. Or a hash brown, that's potato, whatever. But like those end up
Yeah,
being like 600 calories because of the
salad dressing.
dressing. And like, oh, it's
Salad
so healthy.
dressing.
It's just chicken and then it's fried, whatever. It just always, at the end of the day, if you're not losing fat, it does come down to calorie deficit, unfortunately.
Yeah,
One
sneaky things you said like that, like dressings and things. Yeah, Mimi, go ahead.
Pretty much.
one thing I was thinking about, like when I first saw the situation, for me, like of course I'm not like into this like whole situation about calorie deficit, as you guys were saying. I didn't even know what it meant. So the thing that kind of bothered me is like, how can you miss your main meals yet still, like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like the main meals contain the most calories, right?
I,
If you think about it. I know
in theory,
depending on the snacks. Yeah, in
just
theory.
yeah, it's
But you
and
could eat like a chicken and it wouldn't be as much calories as a handful of peanuts or a peanut butter on
yeah,
toast,
it's just people
even
have
though the
different ways
chicken
to
looks
food.
bigger.
It's just the
So
way people
technically,
approach food. It's the
so
way
technically,
people, yeah, technically.
technically, I don't have to eat breakfast, dinner, or lunch, right? I can just eat snacks throughout the day.
They're all created,
Technically,
yeah.
technically,
They're all
from what I'm
created, yeah.
hearing.
It's all everything's made up, yeah.
Okay. Because I've always been told that, also from my doctors. So this is why it was weird for me, because I've always been told this, that if you miss your main meals, you will lose a lot of weight, that you will, become super skinny, you're not going to be healthy. So then for me, it was kind of weird, of course, being told this, that when she told me she doesn't eat the main meals, I'm sitting there, I'm
Yeah.
like, because I'm told that, of course, we're all told different things, and misinformation
Exactly.
runs around
Exactly.
super easily. And I
Exactly.
know that especially in hospitals, like I've been given so much misinformation because they just want to do their job so quickly that they just say the most random stuff that comes up to their mind. But yeah, like what you guys are saying truly makes sense, because I'm listening into it now. But like my whole childhood coming to who I am now, like I've always been told, like, if you don't eat breakfast, you're not going to be healthy if you don't, because I've always been forced to eat breakfast. I mean, all of us have always been told, eat breakfast, eat dinner, eat lunch.
Yeah,
You know,
I think it's easy, and it's easy to think that everyone's in the same boat, where realistically people are not. A lot of people come from a background where their family has no interest in food, they have no interest in healthy nutrition. They'll eat whatever they can find at any time of the day and just eat it. And they'll wonder why they have issues with regulation. They're wondering why they're not getting nutrients in. They're wondering why they're unhealthy. And that's not their fault. And it can be very difficult to move beyond these deeply rooted disordered eating that families have. It can be passed on generations. You can often see families, again, we're not judge people, but you often see athletic families, people in generations are athletic, in all different families athletic. It tends to go like that. And some people, family are overweight. A lot of the family are overweight as well. It's cultural. It's not just what one person chooses to eat. It's what becomes your normal. So your normal is to eat breakfast. Your normal is to have a lunch. It's normal to have a dinner or a big meal in the evening. And that to you is how you eat. Whereas a lot of people don't eat that way. And it's hard to think outside of your own norms for it. But as a coach, you see it so many times. I say, what did you eat? And they go, I don't know what I ate yesterday. And I say, what did you have for breakfast? And they go, I don't eat breakfast. Okay, what did you eat for lunch? I don't really eat lunch. What do you have for dinner? I don't really eat dinner. I just eat what I have throughout the day. And it is difficult. And it also becomes very then hard to quantify things. And it's also very hard to regulate hunger and eat the same amount every day. Because if you don't eat at a certain time or don't have a certain format for a meal, so you may have your meal maybe meat, two vegetables and some carbohydrates for a meal. That could be great. It doesn't mean that's normal for everyone. If you do that, it's very easy to regulate it, but other people will just have bits and pieces here and there, and that's where it's very hard when they think they're in deficit because their counting is wrong and they don't have a regular intake of things. It's very hard to move towards a healthy lifestyle that what seems to be a really big shift in their lifestyle. Sorry, I've kind of diverted here from this, but
I was
no worries.
yeah,
Also, Mimi, I did want
really-
to also ask, because you were talking about eating breakfast. One thing I've noticed, especially a lot of people who focus on, oh, you have to eat breakfast, is a lot of the cereals are actually unhealthy. I think there's one here in England. What's it called? The cookie ones. I don't know what it's called, but you get cookies and milk, and that's whatever it is, and that's a cereal. And I had a friend who, growing up in school with him, the guy was always like struggling to breathe every time I walk into school. I slept at his house, and I could tell just by his lifestyle that a lot of these decisions aren't even his fault. So it doesn't matter if he doesn't eat lunch at school. From breakfast, he's already eating freaking cookies and milk as a cereal for breakfast. So you can already imagine how much calories that is. So I'll just also say to your friend, just make sure that they're checking what their parents has given them. A lot of people do tend to go, they become more healthier when they start cooking their own meals. So you can probably just start speaking to your friend and just letting them know that it goes back to is obesity a choice debates, because some of these things is out of their control. But yeah, go on.
Yeah.
True. And some people also don't know about macros and calories and all of that. So they just make bad decisions, but it's not their fault because they don't know. So yeah, I agree.
I can agree with that because I also didn't know any of that until I started these podcasts. Like, I don't know if Chris can remember. There were so many terms like a year ago or something that they mentioned, and I was like, what does that even mean? Like, even today, like, I didn't even know what a calorie deficit was. But like, when I first
I get it.
in these
It's completely
podcasts,
normal.
you can ask Ayo and Chris. I'd be like, oh, what is that? What is a dumbbell? Oh, what is that? Like, I don't know if Ayo and Chris can remember the first podcast I joined.
I remember, yeah.
And it's about learning, like when you're never
Very true, yeah.
It's like when you and it's what Chris was saying in AO, when you're not taught, like for example, it's about routine. Like when you're not taught that way, you're not gonna also be interested in looking for it, because you're never told about it. So like why would you randomly go and search it up? Right? If I've never told about calorie deficit, why would I randomly go into my head to randomly search it up, if I've never been told about it?
Yeah, it's about habit and go on.
Sorry,
I don't
want to
No, go on.
anyone.
Go ahead.
Okay. We're tweaking all, but I think that I learned about calories and calorie deficits and everything very early on. And I think the moment I got aware, I started tracking. So I've been tracking for like 3 years-ish. I think the first photo, I don't know if you guys saw, I think I started tracking just after the first photo I posted. But as soon as I got aware of how much I ate and how hungry I was, because I was also taught that you eat the 3 meals and you have a small snack.
Yeah.
And I was so incredibly hungry that I would eat my 3 meals, and then I would eat like 5 slices of toast with peanut butter, or I would eat not even unhealthy things. I would eat, I don't know,
Yeah.
I would make pasta and just load it up with veggies and everything I knew that would fill me up, and it didn't fill me up. So I think that a big part is also not just the physical part, but also the mental part. And I think that when I had to start gaining weight after photo 3, yeah, that was very hard for me. Yeah, I do still think that losing weight is harder generally, but that was one of the toughest things I've ever done in my life, because that was crying every night because you do not want to eat the food, you do not want to gain the weight. So I think that that's also needs some nuance, because I think
I
that it
do
can be
understand.
mentally harder when you have to gain weight. It's when you're forced to gain weight is, I think, mentally harder. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that
also harder on women as well because of our hormones and stuff. So, yeah, I do agree. Sometimes losing fat and losing weight is hard, but it really depends on the person and
yeah.
their hormones and stuff like that. It's a big factor. So, yeah, that's why there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It's always about, there's too many factors to say if something is right or wrong. Like, you're a person. You have your statistics. I have my statistics, you know? Everything is different. Everyone is different. So everything is going to be different for everyone. I don't know if
True.
anyone wants to speak before me because I've been yapping too much. Um I wanted to add a different situation that Chris and Ayo know about, and I don't know if the early people that came into the podcast probably know about too, which was what I mentioned earlier, my ED. And actually fits really well here about what we're talking about. I think Ayo and Chris remember me having a talk here in the podcast saying, I can't gain weight, I can't gain muscle, I can't lose weight. Like, one podcast I'd be like, I'm losing so much weight, and then the next podcast I'd be like, I'm gaining so much weight. I think both of you remember that. I would be complaining about losing weight one week, and then the next week I'd be complaining about gaining weight. And that's also a very, like, I don't talk about it much because of course it's not a great thing to talk about, but I feel like a lot of people struggle with it, and then it's a big factor in like the muscle growth, the fat loss, everything, because I had a few months where I was struggling from it, and no competition. I couldn't go to competitions because one week I'd be 45 kilograms, or I don't know how pounds. Sorry, I don't know pounds, so I'll say kilograms. I'd be 45 kilograms. The next I'd be 55. And this is no joke, guys. This is literally no joke. And I'd be doing the same thing. Like, it's just how it went with my body, because my body was going through something, of course, like that. Some days, some weeks I'd be eating too much, and then the next week I would not eat anything because my body did not want to. And it was and I'm saying this because Jinte actually mentioned it. She was saying that she would cry because she didn't want to eat. I was like that for a while. Chris and Ao know this. There
remember.
was times where I would be like, guys, I haven't eaten anything the whole day, but I want to eat, but my body does not want to eat.
Yeah, I don't remember this.
It's really sad. I remember actually crying about it here on the podcast. And it was really sad because, like Jinte said, it's, you want to eat something, you want to gain you want to gain fat, you want to gain weight, but you can't because your body doesn't want to, because your body is just rejecting it, you know? So I totally agree
You
with
know,
what Jinte said. It's truly upsetting, and it's a phase, unfortunately. But yeah,
You
we'll
know,
get
I've
through it.
actually went through that. I actually had an eating disorder as well. That's why I was really underweight. It was really hard trying to gain weight because I had to get out of that eating disorder. But it really does get easier. You just have to face your fears. You have to face it. You have to keep going. You should not stop. Even if it's hard, even if you cry, you just have to keep going,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually it will go away. that's what happens with me.
Yeah.
I'm finally recovered and everything. It feels really great. Like I'm finally healthy, you know? It's such a good
I'm proud
feeling.
of you for recovering. It's really good. It's so good to overcome it,
It
and
gets
trust me.
easier, and I'm sure it will get easier
Yeah.
for you as well. Just keep going.
Oh, I don't have it right now. I had it like last year, start of last year.
I
Chris
see.
Yeah, the
and
podcasts.
the process of it, and there was a few months after I came to Chris and I was like, guys, I'm overcoming it because I set my mind that I'm gonna overcome it
That's
no matter
amazing.
what. And I healed and I'm better now, and I hope that
Good for
everyone
you.
can do that.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of
Good
everyone that
job.
overcomes it because it's a really bad factor, especially for people that do the gym, go to the gym and do sports. Of course, for everyone, okay? But I'm saying mainly to those because then it becomes like a real nightmare to do those things if you don't eat enough food because you're just gonna be dizzy. You're just not gonna be strong enough to do anything. So
Yes,
it's a big
guys.
factor. So I'm
Bro,
proud. I'm proud of you, Gente. I'm proud of you, Mello. You're a
thank
really
you.
strong girl.
And this is
Thank
also
you.
no, please eat before your workouts because I have my intake at my gym because you're forced to if you're under 16, and I passed out on my intake, and they almost didn't let me in because I didn't eat before my workout. So eat. It's a good
Pre-workout
idea
nutrition,
to eat. Yeah.
pre-workout nutrition
Yeah.
is very important, not just for building muscle, but for general performance and health. So yeah, good PSA for that. Jinte, thank you. Quick carbs before a workout. Quick carbs before a workout, guys. Quick carbs before and after a workout. Protein at some point before, ideally immediately after, and lots of water during. Stay hydrated.
Hey, Coach Chris, what was your take on the debate? By the way, I didn't catch that.
Oh, my take was it changed over time. I say it's harder to lose fat than to build muscle because I'm an agitator.
Yeah, so
Harder to lose fat.
Chris was
It's harder
baiting
to drop fat
everyone.
than build
Yeah,
muscle.
he was
Oh, he's
baiting
taking the
everyone
piss.
to like debates. He didn't have a real stance. He is so fake. So anyone who
Building
was like,
muscle is easy.
any,
Building muscle is easy. Just go to the gym twice a week, eat loads of
Oh,
food. Easy,
relax.
mate. Easy.
Just spam it, right? Just spam the gym.
Easy.
oh yeah, just go
Loads
to
of
the
people,
gym.
loads of
That's
people
it.
with
That's
muscle over
all.
time. Hey, before we had all this science-based lifting, we had jacked people walking around.
Oh god, this guy is
Just
so
saying.
good. This is like pure rage bait.
I'm
But
saying.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he's
why I
rage
was
baiting. Get him
laughing
out of
when
here.
everyone was like, "Oh, I agree with Chris. This guy is a chameleon. He has no stance. He's just baiting everyone to agree." But I think it's been a solid debate. There are some people who I feel like haven't spoken yet. You're all welcome to speak. Masaki, I don't think you've spoken. Go ahead, mate. Yo, how you doing?
I'm good. As I sent in a message, my opinion has changed a couple of times throughout this debate, so take my opinion with a pinch of salt, if not a whole container. For me personally, I think gaining weight is harder, but first we have to set a couple of borders, you know. Now, the guy that wants to gain weight, he's not starving Marvin. He has a good amount of resources, and the person that wants to lose weight isn't in consumer town and in a family of pairs, so that's good to set up. So for me personally, I think gaining weight is harder because first of all, usually you need to train and eat a lot of in excess properly because you, as someone said something similar, your body's priority is not to gain muscle or lose weight, but it's just to maintain itself. So if you don't give yourself enough protein or just protein and not enough for your body to upkeep itself, it will just turn the protein into energy because again gaining muscle is not its priority, it's far from that. So also for the losing weight, of course, it's more also about just watching your diet. Of course, it's not as simple as that. If let's say you're taking some kind of medication that stops you from losing weight, that's also important to note. Also, of course, there are other factors, genetics, etc. So it varies to person, their mindset, their surroundings, and whatever. Anything else? Anything else? Also, a few tips for anything that wants to gain weight or muscle. Shakes are very good because they're a good way to get a lot of things in your like stomach than you would usually handle because it's liquid. It's easier to get a lot of. Also, for losing weight, it's also important to keep check of all the things going into the food. So a lot of people wonder why they don't lose weight. Then on their salad they put a liter of olive oil, and then they wonder where they're getting extra calories from. So that's good to keep in mind. Also for them, not a lot, some people that are losing weight want to like just eat chicken and rice, but you can add spices, you can add all those stuff, veggies, especially because they're low calories. So they're a very nice way. So that's generally it. I've heard a lot of good points, so whatever I'm saying makes me feel like a simpleton, as simple as it is, but
That's all.
it's good for now, so that's how I can
Nice.
word.
Hey, all good, Misaki. Thank you. All valid. And it's good to be able to go into debate and be able to change your mindset throughout it. I think if you go into debate just saying I'm 100% right and you're 100% wrong, there's no point in having a debate. You need to be able to evolve your mindset because, like we said throughout, there are very few things that are 100% right, 100% wrong. So being able to develop your mindset is definitely good for learning in general, not just fitness.
Yeah, maybe my opinion will shift a couple of more times, just for luck.
Yeah. Just keep it interesting. 100%.
Yo, sorry, could I ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, mate.
Yeah,
is
what's up,
it
Brian?
related to debate or is it fitness related?
Oh, it's like a question, like on weight. So should I go
Sure.
on a calorie deficit at 13?
So it depends. General guidance for the server is no if you're a teenager, but if you're heavily overweight and you've got a problem, it's affecting your self-esteem, it's affecting your health, then yeah, you should probably readjust your diet. I wouldn't say aim strictly for a calorie deficit. I would say try to restructure your diet and the foods you eat and your lifestyle so it happens to have a calorie deficit. So focus it around whole foods, focus it around some, moving around, maybe a bit of walking outside, maybe doing sports. I don't think focusing on a calorie deficit above all things is healthy to really for a teenage mindset. But if you can do it in a healthy way, just restructure your life around it to live like someone with a healthy lifestyle, I think that's perfectly valid. Does that make any sense to you at all? It's not reassuring. Brian, Brian, are you there?
Also,
As
Brian,
someone that has
go ahead.
as someone that has cut that young, I don't think it's good for you. I don't think it's good for your mind. I don't think it's good to be so aware of calories at such a young age. So from my experience, I think it's better to more so focus on increasing your activity levels rather than focusing on diet, as you said already. Yeah, I think it really fucks up your brain, like really bad.
Yeah, it's all about,
Right.
making new habits and changing the old bad habits. So he might not go on a calorie deficit, but he could still change the habits, trying to eat healthier, go on a walk, stuff like that. Just making new habits.
Exactly. So hope that helped, Brian. If you can hear me, if you can respond to us or not. But I think it's better to, like everyone else mirrored, thankfully. Appreciate that. Restructuring things so you have a calorie deficit as a result of eating better, rather than having, right, I need a deficit above all else. I will live my life around this. So eating whole foods for each meal is the best way to do it. Trying to eat some sort of fruit or vegetables, eating generally healthy and being a bit more active is going to be good. And you can adjust from there. You can always adjust from there. Hope that makes sense to you. If you respond to us or not, but we can talk more here or talk in chat later, or you want to DM me later, that's absolutely fine. I'd love to help you in a healthy, productive way.
Yeah, we probably should have also asked for his weight and
Can
height.
I say something?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, mate.
Yeah, so first off, I'm confused. The thumbnail said what's harder, losing weight or gaining weight, but now it's what's harder, losing weight or gaining muscle. So,
Yeah, we shifted. We did shift. We started the first debate for straight up
okay.
losing weight or gaining weight. Then we add nuance. Do you want to contribute to the first question?
I'll just say my piece on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can. Can I say my piece on both?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah. So losing weight or gaining weight, I'd say for the average individual, it's definitely harder to gain weight because out of 8 billion people on Earth, 7 billion are still live in developing countries where, you know, they're eating mud out of the water. So obviously, they have the average human being has much more trouble gaining weight than losing weight, as opposed to only 1 billion of us, where we struggle with the temptation of resisting food. But as for the people in, you know, first world countries, it's probably harder to lose weight than it is to gain weight. So
absolutely, no, very valid point, and absolutely.
So yeah, and then for the second question, it's probably harder to lose weight than it is to gain muscle because for the average individual, harder to lose weight than to gain muscle. You know, there are exceptions. There are exceptional individuals, but you know, if I line up 100 people, 85 of them are going to have a harder time losing weight than gaining muscle. Because when losing weight, you can do any form of exercise you want. You can walk. Walking is easy, or at least easier than lifting weights. Or you can, you know, dance or whatever, and play street basketball or whatever you want, as long as you're being active. But when gaining muscle, you have to lift weights, you have to strength train. And then then you factor in, someone brought up a good point earlier, the mental struggles. I think that I would take that out of the equation because it's a factor on both ends. You know, it's a big mental struggle to gain muscle. It's also a big mental struggle to lose weight. So that really just comes out of the equation. So ultimately, I would say it's easier to lose weight than it is to gain muscle. Of course, there are exceptions, but for the average person, it's easier to lose weight than to gain muscle.
Nice man, yeah, valid, absolutely good points. Interested to see your point on what the average person is, though. I've been interested. That'll be my counter to that. Is the average person interested in lifting the weights? Is the average person active and, you know, it's part of the sport? Maybe it's the gym. Maybe the average person doesn't. Maybe I don't know.
Well, can the average person even access a gym? I would start off with that.
Oh yeah, exactly.
The average person can obviously do any form of physical activity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, probably the average person can access a gym. I'll say that, but I mean, still, lifting weights is harder than any other form of physical activity you can think of.
Ooh, that's another debate. That's another debate topic. Is lifting weights the hardest type of physical activity?
I didn't say it's the hardest. I didn't say it's the hardest. I just said it's harder than the physical activity of your choosing. Like, so.
Yeah,
question,
I'm taking what you said out of context.
Did you say that gaining muscle was harder than losing fat, or?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So that means I've won the debate. Thank you very much, guys. It is official. I beat Chris. No, I'm just kidding. Masochist, Sub-Zero, whatever your name is at this point.
Mate,
go ahead. You're the last person. Feel free to speak.
All right.
I was gonna add on to what Yente said about the mental struggles a while back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, you pronounced my name so well. What the fuck?
I've made an effort to, but since about 13 months ago almost, I think I'm down a little over. Let me think. About almost exactly 21 kilos. So it's been a while. I've seen the progress, but it also is definitely it's taken a toll on me mentally. You know, I see food differently. Thinking about
Mhm.
eating is just completely fucking different. Like there was one point of realization for me where here after like I'm just stressed out one day and I'm trying to go to sleep and I'm brushing my teeth and I'm thinking, damn, is the toothpaste I'm using got any calories in it?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when you get hyper focused on what you're eating, like are you having too many or are you having too little? It fucks with you and it's definitely not good at least at a young age. Honestly, at no age, honestly. There's nothing good about fucking brushing your teeth and wondering, hey, am I consuming calories by using this damn toothpaste?
Literally, yeah. I get what you mean. And also
But
this,
I know this isn't, I know it doesn't help with trying to bulk either. Thinking
yeah.
probably the same thing in the opposite.
Yeah, does it have enough calories? Should I eat this or should I swap to more dense calories? Am I allowed to have this chicken breast? Should I be having mince and beef instead like that? Like,
Do I
and
need
it
to
also
add an
comes to
extra bit of oil or whatever?
am I eating enough eggs for this meal? Am I eating enough eggs and stuff? Like, yeah, it can become an issue, and I think everyone who really gets seriously into fitness, either building muscle or losing weight or anything, or anything to do with it, really, everyone does go through a phase of obsession. Everyone goes through a phase of it being all encompassing and worrying about everything, and it becomes everything reduced to numbers, and it becomes reduced to fuel and things like that, which I think. Like I said, I think everyone goes through this phase. Hopefully, you get through quite quickly because I don't think food should be fuel. I think food should be enjoyable. It's a privilege to eat every day. Hopefully, a lot of people don't. I think we should be able to enjoy food and appreciate it, and reducing it to just break it down just to how much protein, carbs, and fats and calories does it have in is a really reductive and dystopian way to look at it. Sometimes, obviously, you have to sometimes for certain goals, but I think you're right. The whole mental aspect of it, either way, bulking or dropping weight, I think it's yeah, really good. And that's coming from someone who's been training for a long time, but you're still so a teenager, aren't you? So
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
turned 15 just a month and a half ago.
yeah, exactly. So that's a lot of weight to drop if you're doing it in a responsible
He's a
way when you have if you're
baby.
okay. Yeah. A good contribution, man. I appreciate that. Thank you for being able to voice that because it's definitely a challenge and I think guys can be a bit more apprehensive about voicing the food concerns. I think it'll just feel as easy where it's not easy. It isn't easy. Absolutely not. So appreciate that. Thank you for actually coming to talk on the podcast for a change and stop changing your goddamn profile picture. I cannot deal with this. I'm too old for this.
I could have changed it again, but I spared you guys that.
I'll say thank you then. Good to hear from you, man.
Perfect. Thank you very much,
Awesome.
Sub-Zero. Really do appreciate you, and also really do appreciate everybody who contributed to this debate. Does anybody else want to raise anything, say anything? I see Chris has his hand up. Go ahead.
Sorry, it wasn't for me to speak, but I'm not sure if Candy wanted to speak or not. I know you wanted to speak early and he was cut off. Candy, are you available to speak? Are you wish to? Am I putting you on the spot here? Do you wish to contribute?
Yes. No, it's okay. You're not putting me on the spot. I was trying to talk.
Awesome.
Okay. So you might hear some noise. I'm trying to make my way back to the little room that I hide in. Okay. So in the debate of what's harder, burning fat, building muscle.
What are you gonna say?
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say. It's just okay. So I've been fat, right? But when I was trying to lose weight, trying to lose specifically, well, no, it was really just weight. It was to lie. It was really easy. I wasn't even expecting it to be as easy as it was because all I had to do, from what I remember, was just make better eating choices. I didn't even track or anything, and just go to the gym. But it might be a genetic specific thing because I don't know, my body reacts to it seems like my body reacts to cardio really well and like starts turning into a burning machine because I can eat a ton of garbage and then still manage to somehow lose weight. Um, but when it comes to building muscle, dude, like I've been going to the gym. I've been on the server since we're in 2026, 2024 in November, I think is when I first joined. And I did get stronger, but it took like, I think it took like 6 months, and I jumped from a 155 bench to 185 because, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, you did say that one indicator that you're actually like building muscle is that you're getting stronger in the gym, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if that's the case, then I mean, I've been stuck at, this is just one example, the 185 pound bench forever now. And it's been hard hitting PRs, but there's other reasons for that. I feel like it further proves the point that it's just so much harder to build muscle. And even here's another example. So I feel like even the coaches know this. They know that it's a lot easier to make people burn fat or lose weight than it is to build muscle. Because
honestly, you're right.
Because I've had 2 experiences now where I got low-key turned down for coaching because I'm already skinny, and
it's harder to get results for someone who wants to build muscle than it is to drop fat, and that is 100% true. People love easy clients. If you're overweight, it's such an easy win for the coach to give you easy things to do to drop weight and go, yeah, I'm a really good coach. You're welcome. Yeah,
and
I
they can
agree.
do the
100%.
before and after.
100%.
It's a lot easier. They can do the before and after, like 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
They've got something they post on their profile.
100%. Look how good I am. Look how good I am. Yeah.
Thank God I didn't say a single thing. What I do want to say is, and this leads on to what Candy has been saying, a lot of people, and this is no offense to anyone in the server, a lot of people are still in the newbie phase. And I know people will be like, oh, I've been training for 4 years or whatever. It's so, especially going into a bodybuilding gym, a lot of people are I don't know what the term is, but they're like lifelong newbie phase lifters. Like they could be training for 10 years.
Forever intermediate. Forever
Yeah.
intermediate.
And
that's me. That's where I'm at.
The thing is that when you're when you're in the newbie phase, right? It feels so easy to gain muscle because you can literally just sit down and you've got glutes, right? That's the newbie phase. Losing fat, everybody can do this consistently over time. But once you've gone past the newbie phase in building muscle, mate, you have to go completely insane, get to the realm of body dysmorphia, look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm freaking fat. Whilst everybody else is telling you, mate, your physique is amazing. You're like, is it? Is it really? So this is it's a good debate, and I appreciate everybody who's having it. I do think a lot of people, and I do agree with the point where opinions do vary, but I do think a lot of people, as you grow older, and as you get more into the industry, whether it's sports, science, whether it's to be a personal trainer, whether it's to compete, whether it's bodybuilding, whether it's powerlifting, whatever it is, your stances will slowly start to change because you will realize that you could be an average individual and you could do pretty much whatever to lose weight. But once you start getting post intermediate, you're playing like, this is like, in gaming terminologies, this is high elo. Like even the support is better than the freaking ADC. League of Legends terms, right? So yeah, anyway, thank you very much. Does anybody have anything else to say? Candy, do you still have anything you want to say?
I was gonna mention the there was this free coaching program I was in, right, on another server. And they let me in. I know I'm a traitor, but wait, listen. They let me in, and I did really good. I was hitting PRs and stuff. But then when I tried to renew, I don't know the real reason, but I'm only guessing. They didn't let me renew, and the people that were reselected were people that were on the more overweight side. And I'm like, dang, man.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, was the server based on losing weight? I just want to Sorry, I just want to play devil's
No.
advocate. Was it okay? I'm just making sure. It's like it's already
No.
skinny and it's like, let me go again. But yeah,
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't join a server like that. It's the gym community. It's
Okay,
that's the
no,
name of the
no
server,
names,
but
please,
it's
mate.
just-
Don't get me in trouble.
Too late,
I don't need
too late.
another beef with another
shoot.
freaking
It,
fitness.
it is
My-
interesting
my
though,
bad.
and it's a good point because I think Aaron made a great point about people being, forever intermediates and things, but the things that get you to the intermediate phase are not the things that get you into the more advanced phase. You can stumble and get a lot of things wrong at the beginner phase and benefit from beginner gains. You can make great progress regardless what you do. If you work hard, gym, work hard, eat a lot of food, you'll build some muscle. But once you've got the end out of that beginner phase, you can't keep doing the same stuff to get beyond that. And that's when people either trip up or people go to these little challenges, people don't want your advice, or people turn to other substances, or they become obsessed with genetics and say, I know what genetics for, I can never do it, and blame everything else under the sun. What they need to do is refocus, find something that you trust, and learn how to get out of that point, because it's such a sticky point. And once you pass that point, you can then make big progress beyond it. But it's definitely a wall people get stuck at.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I'm like
you've reached the
permanent
plateau. Yeah.
permanent beginner.
No, you've just reached a plateau, mate. Like it's completely natural. You just have to
Talk to me,
make
Candy, we'll sort you
sure
out.
not to just, because normally what happens when people reach a plateau, especially I don't know if you're in the newbie phase, but I do feel like you're getting slowly out of it. But normally when people do reach a plateau, the one mistake that they make is that they tend to give up. They tend to go into, like as Chris said, substances, or they just start freaking going extremely insane, and it can lead into body dysmorphia. You just have to remember, like a lot of people, to make the amount of progress that they have at the gym, it's taking them years. So I don't know how long you've been training, mate. I can only estimate like 1 or 2
Bro,
years. or
I've
so.
been training for over a decade.
Thanks.
I've been inconsistent with it.
Over a decade. No. I mean properly.
Yeah.
I don't like when people say that. Where
Oh,
I've been going to the gym
There's
for like
training
20
and there's training,
years.
isn't there? There's training and there's training, isn't there?
And then you
Well,
see
Drop
what
me a
they
message,
do
Candy,
in
we'll
the
have a
gym,
chat.
right?
Drop me a message, Candy, we'll have a chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Reach out to Chris. Yeah. Don't be.
All right.
What's the correct term? Forever newbie. I prefer forever newbie. I like that. But it's
That's
very
where
insulting.
I'm at.
Lifetime
Forever newbie.
intermediate. Yeah. That's what Mr. Kist said.
Yeah, have a talk to me, Candy. I'll have a chat with you.
Oh, okay.
Nice,
Thank you.
nice. Yeah, this has been an amazing debate. Despite us starting late due to Chris, we did make, was it almost 2 hours? 1 hour, 30 minutes. Absolutely amazing. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Jante. Thank you, Toxic. Thank you, Candy. Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, Sub-Zero. Thank you, Mellow. And thank you to everybody else who's still listening in, except Sinister, because we're probably going to end up banning him because this guy was roasting me for no reason, I swear to God. And also a huge shout out. Who was the guy that was giving me compliments? I need to clip that part. I'm just kidding. Thank you very much, Chris, as well. Crap. Sponsors. Guys, if you do want to get free workouts, make sure to check out Boostcamp. Boostcamp is an amazing platform. You can get your free workout routines there. If you're a coach and you want to post your workouts there, you can do that as well. And we have also got a new sponsor, and their name is we've also got a new sponsor, and their name is Javida. Cool. Javida is one of our new sponsors. They're building a workout app. Thank you very much, Javida, for sponsoring this podcast. It's going to be more of a co-pilot workout app. They're doing surveys and research to get insight into, different fitness experience and stuff like that. So look forward to that. And huge shout out to the one, the only, Christopher. I hope your name is Christopher, not Christian. Is it Christian? It's Christian, isn't it? Fuck. The one and only Christian. What?
No, it's Christopher.
It is Christopher. Really? Oh, that was such a lucky guess. I thought, oh my God. I knew you were a Christopher.
There weren't that many options.
No, but I could tell the difference between a Christian and a Christopher. I'm so happy I got that. Huge shout out to Chris. Don't mind glazing him. Pause, no Diddy. Chris is an amazing addition to the community. He's very helpful, as you guys can see. If you've got any questions, anything, feel free to reach out to him. And remember, guys, it's not strike force. It's not strike first. It is strength first. Make sure to support Chris STR first on all platforms. Yeah, we've got a wise guy in the chat, but yeah, feel free to reach out to Chris. And thank you very much, everyone who's joined the debate. And I hope you have a great weekend. Bye. See you. Discord podcast.
Thank you, guys.
We all are friends. Losers. Bye. Leave. Why are you guys still here? The podcast has ended. Go. Be gone. I can't keep waving. Bye. Get out of here.